Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to Midnight Affairs Tales. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know what part of the world you are watching from right now. Let us know in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's story, Chapter 1. The Return from the Dead. The airport was almost empty, just a tired janitor mopping near Gate 17 and a mother calming a crying baby. Ethan Cole stepped into the terminal like a ghost. His boots hit the tiles slow and steady. Nobody looked twice. Outside, the rain had just stopped. Fog clung to the streetlights. Ethan stood under the awning, duffel bag on one shoulder, a folded American flag in his hand. The world thought he was dead. For almost 2 years, the Navy had listed him killed in action during a covert mission overseas. But here he was, standing on Virginia soil, breathing in the wet asphalt and betrayal he hadn't yet seen. No one was there to greet him. He didn't call. He didn't warn. He needed to see it for himself. The cab ride was silent. He gave the driver an address with no small talk. His fingers tapped the flag once, then stilled. As the cab pulled into his old neighborhood, something shifted. There were balloons. Silver ones. Still half-floating, tied to the mailbox in front of his house. Laughter spilled from the backyard, loud, casual, alive. Ethan didn't move. A boy from across the street rode his bike up and stopped beside the cab. Maybe 10, baseball cap backward. He squinted at Ethan through the window. "Hey, you look like that soldier. The one they said died. You his brother or something?" Ethan rolled the window down halfway. "Something like that." The kid grinned. "They had a party when they got the check. Said he went out a hero." Ethan stared at his own porch. Music. Glasses clinking. Madison's laugh. The boy pedaled off. Ethan didn't follow him with his eyes. He only said one thing. "They buried me, and then they celebrated." But what else had they buried with me? Ethan stood at his own headstone. It was smaller than he expected. Clean. Cold. A cheap bouquet of red plastic roses lay at the base. The engraving read, "Ethan Cole, beloved husband, father, hero 1984 to 2023. He read the dates twice. It didn't feel like looking at his own death. It felt like reading someone else's lie. No one else was in the cemetery. The only sound was wind brushing across stone. He dropped to one knee, rested the folded flag at the base, and stared at it. A soft crunch of gravel caught his ear. He turned. An older man, mid-60s, approached slowly. Groundskeeper. Wore a dusty cap and carried a clipboard. "You family?" Something like that. The man wiped his hands on his vest. "You know, it's strange. Just 2 days after the funeral, she came back with some other guy. Young. Flashy watch. Smoked in the lot. Disrespectful type." Ethan didn't blink. "She." The old man nodded. "Wife. Said she needed a picture of the grave for insurance, I think. I remember Kashi laughed when the guy said something like, 'Now we're set.' A picture. For insurance." Ethan stood slowly. "You remember what day that was?" The man shrugged. 2 days after the service. "Maybe 3. You want me to check records?" Ethan shook his head. "No need." As the old man walked off, Ethan looked down again at the words "beloved husband." His jaw tightened. He turned his back to the stone. Madison hadn't just mourned him. She'd profited. But it was too clean. Too fast. And no one just slips into bed with a stranger and files claims days later, unless they were planning it. What if she wasn't just cheating? What if she helped write the obituary? The backyard lights glowed warm, soft, and fake. Music played through wireless speakers, top 40 hits and laughter. Ethan crouched in the tree line behind the fence. He hadn't stepped onto this grass in years. His blood boiled just standing this close. Through the glass doors, he saw her. Madison. Same smooth stride. Same fake laugh. She wore a black dress, tight, new. Her hair was curled. She looked too happy. It didn't fit the grieving widow profile. Then he saw him. Tall. Tan. Sunglasses still on his head after dark. Arms around Madison's waist. Too familiar. Too comfortable. Ethan didn't recognize him. But his hand on her hip told the whole story. The house was different now. New porch furniture. No trace of Ethan. No photos. No folded flag. Not even his boots by the door. Erased. A voice behind him snapped him out of it. You gonna stand there all night? Ethan turned fast, ready. But it was a teenage girl. Hoodie, hair in a ponytail. She looked like Madison, but younger. His daughter. Lily. Her eyes locked onto his. She didn't scream. She didn't speak. Ethan whispered, "It's me." Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't fall apart. She stepped forward, staring at him like she was touching a ghost. "I knew it," she whispered. "I told her you weren't dead." Ethan looked at the house again. "Who is he?" Lily's voice was quiet. She said he was just a friend. A friend who moved in 6 weeks after the funeral. 6 weeks. The music swelled. Madison's laugh cut the air again. Ethan's voice was low. "I need to know everything." Ethan watched from Lily's bedroom window. The angle was perfect. He could see into the kitchen without being seen. Madison poured wine for the stranger. They laughed like they'd lived 100 good memories together. Lily closed the door behind them. She was quiet, older than her 15 years. A stillness in her eyes. Guilt. Confusion. Fury she didn't know what to do with. "She told me not to cry at the funeral," Lily whispered. "Said you'd want us to stay strong. Then she put your picture in a drawer." Ethan kept his eyes on the glass. "She ever talk about money?" Lily nodded. "She bought a new car. Said it was from the military pay. But then, he showed up. And she stopped working." "Stopped?" "She quit her job 3 months ago. Said she didn't need it anymore." Ethan's hands curled into fists. Not from anger, yet. From clarity. They didn't just bury him. They cashed him out. He pulled out his phone. Still cracked from the field. No service plan. But the photos were intact. Photos of him with classified gear. Missions never made public. He transferred them to a flash drive. Handed it to Lily. "Hide this. Deep. Somewhere no one will look." She took it without a word. Downstairs, Madison kissed the man, right there in the kitchen where Ethan used to cook breakfast. The man whispered something. Madison laughed again. Lily stepped back from the window. "He smells like cigars and cologne." Ethan turned. "Did she ever say his name?" "She never uses it. Just calls him babe. He calls her Mads." Lily's jaw locked. "He acts like this house is his." Ethan stood up. Not for long. The party was over. Dishes still sat in the sink, wine glasses stained with fingerprints. Madison was upstairs. The stranger, too, lied under the master bedroom door. Ethan moved like a shadow through his own house. Boots off. Gloves on. Quiet steps on wood floors he once helped stain. He paused in the living room. The family portrait above the fireplace was gone. In its place, a beach photo. Just Madison and the man. Holding drinks. Her in a swimsuit. Him shirtless, smug. Ethan looked down. A photo album peeked out from a drawer. He opened it. Page after page of memories, new ones. Cookouts, vacations, holidays. None with Ethan. All with him. A scrapbook of lies. Then he saw the date stamp. The beach trip? For weeks after the funeral. He moved to the study. Her laptop sat open. Password protected, but she was sloppy, still using their daughter's birthday. It opened in seconds. Inside, emails. Insurance documents. Names he didn't recognize. One email caught his eye. Transfer confirmed. Remaining balance clears once the certificate is validated. The file attached, a scanned death certificate. His. Ethan didn't blink. Just saved every file to his second flash drive. A creak above. Laughter muffled by a door. He slid the drawer closed. Left the album where he found it. On the way out, he passed the dining table. A silver watch sat beside a phone. The man's. He picked it up, opened the text screen. Last message. She still cries sometimes. Almost makes me feel bad. Almost. Ethan placed the watch back, exactly where it was. But the phone, he took that with him. Not for evidence. For leverage. Marcus leaned against the hood of his truck, arms folded, a cigarette burning low between his fingers. The night was quiet except for crickets and a dog barking somewhere down the block. Ethan tossed the stranger's phone onto the truck bed. Marcus caught it. Flipped through the screen. "Damn," he muttered. "He's either cocky or stupid." Ethan didn't answer. He was staring at the folder in his own hand, the one pulled from the laptop. Email chains. Account numbers. Logins. Madison changed all the life insurance beneficiaries 6 weeks before the funeral. Marcus crushed the cigarette under his boot. So she knew. She helped fake the death certificate. Who signed it? Civilian contractor. Not military. Looks like she paid off a contact. Marcus took the phone, connected it to a laptop in his truck. I'll get this backed up. Then nuke it. They sat in silence for a moment. Ethan finally said, she smiled at him the same way she used to smile at me. Marcus snorted. Yeah, they always do. But only when they think no one's watching. He pulled up a surveillance app, one Ethan hadn't seen before. A low-resolution feed of the living room from a hidden camera behind the bookshelf. I planted it last year. After you were declared dead, I got suspicious. Something wasn't right. Ethan watched the grainy footage. Madison and the man, laughing, drinking, and then something more. Paperwork. A briefcase full of envelopes. Marcus pointed. That's not just insurance money. That's payoffs. They're part of something bigger. Ethan didn't move. Just watched. Breathing steady. Not rage. Not yet. Just purpose. You in? Marcus asked. Ethan's voice was calm. Controlled. I'm in. The following morning, Ethan sat at a diner 5 blocks from his old street. Hoodie up, eyes low. A worn hat shaded his face. He sipped black coffee, untouched pancakes growing cold in front of him. Across from him sat Lily. She didn't ask questions. She just stared. Her gaze quiet, heavy, wasn't the look of a child seeing her father again. It was the look of someone who'd already buried their trust once. He treats her like he owns her, she said finally. Walks around the house like it's his. Uses your mug. Sits in your chair. Ethan didn't blink. What do you think of him? She hesitated. He's fake. Smiles when people are around. But when it's just me, he acts like I'm furniture. Ethan looked up now, his jaw working. Ever touch you? No. Just ignores me. Like I'm not there. Unless someone's watching. That was worse, in a way. Disregard masked his peace. He pushed a burner phone across the table. You see something wrong, film it. Record everything. But don't confront them. Don't tip your hand. She nodded. You're not going to tell Mom? He shook his head. Not yet. Let her think the game's still hers. Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. I saw a check once. It had some company's name. Not insurance. Something called Ardent Vector. Ethan paused. That wasn't an insurance provider. That was a private contractor he'd dealt with before. Defense deals. High-risk tech. Weapons. He leaned forward. You remember where you saw it? She nodded. Her desk drawer. Bottom right. Locked. He looked her in the eye. We're not just taking her down. We're going after everyone she's tied to. Lily met his stare. No fear. Just fire. I'm with you. Marcus had converted his detached garage into something like a war room. Dark monitors, maps with pins, folders stacked by date and relevance. Ethan stood over the main table, flipping through one file after another. Ardent Vector's not just shady, Marcus said. They've got 6 shell companies. Black budget projects. Madison signed a consulting deal with one 3 months before your funeral. Ethan looked at the numbers. $500,000 wired to an offshore account. Same week she quit her job. Bingo. Ethan traced the money trail. Madison wasn't just grieving with another man. She was laundering funds, most likely with his death as the cover. She used my death to gain access, Ethan muttered. They needed a clean exit. A widow with military access? That's the perfect front. Marcus nodded. You were the cleanest exit they had. She sold your reputation like it was stock. A dull hum came from the side monitor. Motion alert. A parked car. Madison's driveway. Lily, standing outside with her backpack. Ethan narrowed his eyes. She reached into her jacket, slow, careful, and placed something under the lip of the mailbox. Small. Metal. Magnetic. A tracker. Ethan almost smiled. She learns fast. Marcus leaned back in his chair. Kid sharp. Ethan's fingers tapped the table. He didn't look away from the screen. They think I'm gone. They think the money's clean. That's their weakness. Marcus handed him a thick folder. You want to hit M first financially, legally, or socially? Ethan stared down at the documents, then pointed to all 3. All at once. Marcus parked the truck outside an old dive bar 30 miles out of town. The kind of place where secrets stuck to the walls and the jukebox hadn't worked in years. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and old sweat. At the back, a woman sat alone. Short leather jacket, military boots, and a laptop open in front of her. Ethan followed Marcus in, eyes scanning the room like instinct. Always watching exits. Always knowing who had their back to the wall. This her? Ethan asked. Marcus nodded. Maya. Ex-NSA, turned freelance intel. Doesn't ask why, just asks how much. Maya didn't look up. Already traced 3 of Arden Vector's dummy accounts. 2 tie back to a congressman. 1 to a private lab in Nevada. Ethan pulled out a thumb drive. Add this to the pile. Madison's laptop. Now she looked up. Her eyes sharp, unreadable. You want to destroy her, or expose them all? Both. She smirked. Good answer. As Ethan sat, Maya pulled up a feed. Video. Low quality, but clear enough. Madison and her lover in a hotel room, talking freely. Got this from a security hack. He's bragging about the payout and how the Navy boy died right on time. Ethan's jaw didn't clench. His body didn't shift, but his eyes went dark. This is how we win, Maya said. Not with fists. With footage. He nodded slowly. Let them think they're safe. Then we pull the floor out. Marcus raised a glass. To justice. Ethan didn't toast. He just watched the screen as Madison kissed the man who built a fortune on his grave. She had no idea the dead man was coming back to collect. The documents weren't enough. Ethan needed names. Real names. The ones hidden behind shell companies and fake titles. He sat across from Maya in a dim-lit motel room, the type meant for short stays and forgotten secrets. Her fingers flew over the keyboard. Here, she said. This name keeps showing up on the back end of Arden Vector's wire transfers, Kenneth Dio. He's not listed on the board, but he owns 3 LLCs tied to weapons contracts. Ethan leaned forward. And he's also the guy who certified your death through a civilian medical division, which, newsflash, doesn't exist. Fake doctor. Fake paperwork. Real payout. He stared at the screen. It showed a fuzzy image of Dio shaking hands with Madison. That same smug look in her eyes. They planned this for months, Ethan muttered. She had everything ready before I even left for that mission. Marcus walked in with a manila envelope. I pulled traffic cam footage from 2 months ago. Guess who Dio was meeting downtown? He slapped a photo on the table. It was the stranger. Madison's so-called boyfriend. But in the footage, he wore a suit, carried a briefcase, and stepped out of a car with government plates. Ethan stood. His voice was low. He's not just a fling. He's a handler. Maya sat back. Now it makes sense. They didn't just want you dead for the insurance. They needed you out of the picture to move something bigger. Ethan's hands tightened at his sides. Not shaking, just focused. You ready for this to get messy? Maya asked. He looked her dead in the eyes. It's already messy. Now it gets personal. The first public move had to be small. Invisible. Just enough to shake the foundation without tipping them off. Ethan started with the credit lines. Using Madison's email access, Maya rerouted a flagged transaction through a fake supplier, one Ethan controlled. $30,000 gone in minutes. Madison would think it was a cyber attack. It wasn't. It was bait. Watch her panic, Ethan said, watching live feed footage from the house. Madison paced the living room, on her phone. Her voice cracked, nervous but trying to stay in control. He's watching us, she snapped. I don't care what you say. Something's wrong. That money disappeared too clean. Ethan's lips curled just slightly. Good. Let her feel it. Marcus stepped in. She's running scared. What's next? Isolation, Ethan said. Cut her off from everyone who's still loyal. He sent an anonymous email to Madison's accountant. Attached was a voice recording, her lover mocking the man's intelligence, calling him a desperate rat who's easy to buy off. Hours later, the accountant withdrew. Froze her assets. Madison screamed into the phone. Smashed a lamp. It was all caught on camera. She thinks she's being hunted, Maya said. But she still doesn't know who's holding the knife. Lily sent a text that night. Mom's freaking out. Won't eat. Keeps checking windows. He left for a business trip. She's alone. Ethan stared at the message, then replied. Perfect. Keep eyes open. Don't get caught. He stood from the desk, walked to the mirror, looked himself in the face for the first time in months. I'm not a ghost, he muttered. I'm the storm they buried alive. Madison sat alone in her SUV, parked in the far corner of a grocery store lot. Her hair was tied back, eyes darting between mirrors. She wasn't shopping. She was watching, waiting. The man she once called Babe hadn't returned her calls in 2 days. The bank account read insufficient. Her lawyer ghosted. The walls were closing in. And Ethan? Still officially dead, which made what happened next all the more terrifying. Her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. How's the payout treating you? Attached, a photo. Her. The stranger. The briefcase. Taken from above. A drone shot. Clean. Undeniable. She dropped the phone. Back in the war room, Ethan stood over the live feed, watching her freeze in that driver's seat. She's slipping, Marcus said. She's scared, Ethan corrected. That's different. We're not done until she breaks. Maya pulled up another file. Dio's been invited to a defense gala. 3 nights from now. Big crowd. Lots of press. Ethan's eyes narrowed. That's where we start peeling them open. Marcus leaned in. You sure you want to go public that soon? We don't go public, Ethan replied. We make them do it to each other. He looked back at the screen, at Madison, frozen in her car, phone shaking in her hand. She played the game, he said quietly. Now it's time she learns the rules. Ethan sat on the floor of a dark motel room, his back against the wall, eyes locked on the screen in front of him. Lily's voice played through a tiny speaker, crackly, but clear. I found it. The drawer was locked, but she forgot the key on her nightstand. Ethan could hear the fear she tried to hide. She was good, but this was dangerous. He looked at Marcus, who was monitoring the live camera feed. Madison was in the bathroom. The lover hadn't returned. What was inside? Ethan asked. Contracts? Letters. One with Dio's name on it. Something about post-authorization drops. I didn't take anything. Just took pictures. Send them to Maya. Now. There was a pause. Then Lily added something that hit harder than he expected. She kept one of your medals in a box, buried under files. Like she couldn't throw it away, but didn't want to see it either. Ethan didn't speak. Not right away. He breathed in slowly, then said, Good work. Stay safe. You're doing more than most grown men could. When the call ended, Marcus tossed him a drink. You sure she's ready for this? She already is, Ethan said. She just needed permission. Maya entered with the files Lily had sent. She dropped them on the table like dead weight. She's not just covering up a payout. She's a key piece in a weapons smuggling operation, all linked to defense funds. Her role was to clean the slate, and that meant you. Ethan stared at the papers. Blood money. Military funds turned dirty. And Madison made it all possible by pretending to grieve. He stood slowly. Cold, calm, steady. Time to bleed them dry, starting with her. The invitation came under a false name, Derek Foster, defense security consultant. The gala was being held in a glass-walled venue downtown. High ceilings. Champagne towers. Security dressed in tuxedos, but carrying tasers in their jackets. Every face there had something to lose. Ethan walked in with Maya on his arm. Clean-shaven. Black suit. Hair cropped. He looked nothing like a dead man. Madison didn't recognize him at first. She was too busy smiling for photos with Kenneth Dio. Her eyes didn't sparkle like they used to. They were tight, calculated, cold. Then she turned and froze. Her lips parted, no sound. Just a twitch. Recognition flickered across her face, and for a second, her world slipped. Ethan didn't stop walking. He brushed past her with a casual nod, locking eyes with Dio. Derek Foster, he said, extending a hand. We have mutual friends in Vector. Dio shook it. Ah, Arden's newest security hire? That's right. Madison tried to recover, forcing a smile. I don't believe we've met. Ethan leaned in just slightly. Not officially, but I've seen you before. Her hand shook as she raised her glass. Ethan watched her swallow the panic, watched her try to stitch the moment back together. Maya stepped in. We should talk numbers later, Mr. Dio. I think you'll like what we've dug up. Duo grinned. always looking for new opportunities. Ethan returned the smile. You'll be hearing from me soon. As they walked away, Ethan glanced once over his shoulder. Madison stood still, pale, a Dropbox folder shared by an anonymous sender. Inside, security footage. But not from Ethan. From them. Maya leaned in. They have a cleaner. He's been deleting records, burning files, hacking traffic cams. But he missed something. One video showed a warehouse, bare walls, dim lights, crates stamped with military insignia, and Madison signing off on a shipment. Ethan watched her face in the clip. Professional. Unbothered. She wasn't being used. She was deep in it. Maya tapped the screen. Shipment was marked for overseas aid. Reality? It was diverted to private militia groups. Ethan's stare never left the screen. She's laundering weapons under the flag. Marcus muttered under his breath. This ain't just about you anymore. Ethan's voice dropped. It never was. He turned to Maya. How fast can we get that footage into the hands of the right enemies? She smiled without humor. Already did. Hey, my cool audience. We just hit 3,000 subscribers. Thanks to you. Every subscription counts. So if you enjoy the content, hit subscribe and join our growing family. Before we continue, tell me, where are you watching from? Comment below. Quick check. Loving the video but haven't subscribed yet? Most viewers haven't. Crazy, right? Now, back to the story. Madison hadn't slept. She sat at her kitchen island in silence, lit only by the under-cabinet lighting. Her fingers hovered over her phone, her fifth time rereading the message. How's the payout treating you? She tried to dismiss it. Tried to convince herself it was a bluff, a hacker, maybe even a sick joke. But the photo wasn't something anyone could have faked. It was real, and whoever sent it had been close. Upstairs, the man she once trusted slept like nothing had changed. He still didn't answer her questions. He brushed off her panic, called her paranoid. She knew better now. They were being watched. She reached into her drawer, pulled out the hard copy of the payout agreement. I scanned it again for any weaknesses, anything that could be traced back. But Ethan's name, his real one, was nowhere. Just numbers, codes, her alias signatures. She thought it had been clean. Perfect. Now she wasn't so sure. Across town, Ethan stood in a dark hallway at Marcus's safe house, reviewing new surveillance. The footage showed Madison arguing with her partner in the driveway. Her voice was muffled, but her hands moved fast. Her posture tight, cornered. She's cracking, Maya said, not looking up. Not enough, Ethan replied. We need her desperate. Marcus handed over a burner. This just came in. Her cleaner's pulling files from a server in D.C. He's covering her tracks harder now. Ethan stared at the screen. Then we give him more to clean. He moved toward the laptop, opened a folder labeled Family Ties. Inside, photos of Madison with Dio, meetings, timestamps, a timeline, proof of a long con. Leak the first 3 anonymously, Ethan said. She'll think someone on her own team flipped. And she'll be right. The leak hit like a knife in the ribs. Photos of Madison and Dio surfaced on a private defense blog. Nothing public, yet, but the right people saw it. Government eyes. Contractor boards. The quiet rooms where dirty deals get nervous. Within hours, Dio made a move. He pulled funding from 2 offshore accounts, transferred assets, and most importantly, cut communication with Madison. Ethan watched the chain reaction like a man who'd drawn up every domino before it fell. In her house, Madison paced, phone in hand. No one was answering. Not the bank. Not Dio. Not the fixer. She called a number she hadn't used in over a year. Ethan's old command line. It rang. No answer. She hung up fast, like she'd just touched something she wasn't supposed to. Upstairs, Lily watched from behind her door. Her face unreadable. She texted Ethan, she's trying to call people from your past. She's scared. Ethan replied instantly. Good. The more she tries to run, the deeper she sinks. Maya cracked another layer of Dio's system. He's setting up an exit plan. Probably prepping to disappear. If he goes, she's dead weight. That's the point, Ethan said. Make her feel what I felt. Abandoned. Forgotten. Replaced. He watched a silent clip of Madison staring at a blank screen. No reflection in her eyes. No plan. Just a woman slowly realizing she built her kingdom on bones. She's not broken yet, Ethan added. But she's wobbling. Marcus looked up. And when she falls, Ethan didn't hesitate. She'll take every name with her. The message was short. We're done. You're exposed. Clean your side before it spreads. Dio didn't sign it. He didn't need to. Madison knew his tone, cold, efficient, final. She stared at her laptop screen for a full minute. The room around her felt foreign. Even the air felt different, like it didn't belong to her anymore. She opened her browser, checked her bank accounts. 2 were frozen. 1 was gone. She called her fixer. Straight to voicemail. For the first time in weeks, she felt something stronger than fear, regret. Not for Ethan. For underestimating him. She walked into the living room, poured a drink with shaking hands, sat on the edge of the couch and stared at the old family photo she'd hidden in a drawer. She'd meant to burn it. She hadn't. In a cabin on the outskirts of town, Ethan read a report from Maya. Dio cut her loose, she confirmed. She's officially on her own. Ethan nodded slowly. That's when they get sloppy. Or dangerous. She's already both. He turned to Lily, who joined them that evening, her hoodie pulled low. She held up a folder she'd taken from Madison's office. What's this? Marcus asked. Every contact she's used since Dad's funeral, Lily said. One of them is a federal name. Ethan took the folder carefully. The noose was almost closed. Madison had no allies left. And Ethan had just begun to squeeze. The knock at Lily's door came just past midnight. Madison stood in the hallway, wrapped in a robe, eyes rimmed red. Can we talk? Lily hesitated, phone behind her back, still recording. Madison stepped inside. Her voice was soft, too soft. I know things have been strange. And I know you're upset. Lily stayed silent. Madison sat on the edge of her bed. That man you've seen around. He's just someone who's helping me through a lot. I didn't expect him. I didn't plan anything. Lily's voice was calm, but laced with fire. Didn't expect to move him in 6 weeks after Dad's funeral? Madison blinked. That's not fair, no, Lily said, standing now, voice rising. What's not fair is pretending you cried for him. What's not fair is smiling while cashing his death benefits. What's not fair is me knowing more than you think. You don't know what you're talking about. I know enough, Lily snapped. I know you kept his medals in a box while you slept in another man's bed. I know you stopped being his wife before he even left. A long pause. Madison stood, straightening her robe. You think you're smarter than me? She asked coldly. Lily didn't flinch. No, I know I am. When Madison left the room, she didn't close the door behind her. She didn't know Lily had recorded the whole thing. She didn't know the file had already been uploaded to Ethan. And she didn't know that, by morning, it would become part of a larger leak, with her voice, her lies, and her daughter's quiet fury at the center of it. Dio's face filled the screen, caught mid-sentence, voice arrogant and clear. She was useful. Grief plays well in public. No one looks too closely at a widow, especially one with a folded flag and mascara streaks. The video dropped on 3 encrypted message boards at once. 10 minutes later, it hit the inbox of a major defense watchdog group. 30 minutes after that, it was trending on encrypted forums. A handful of political insiders began sharing links in private chats. By morning, it hit Twitter. Not mainstream yet, but loud enough to buzz. Maya monitored it all, eyes locked on the screen. Duo's going to know this didn't come from outside. He's going to suspect her. Let him, Ethan said. He scrolled through the footage again. I'm not getting dragged down with you. Madison's eyes narrowed. Understand? No context. No timestamp. Just her rage. Her threat. Enough to ignite suspicion. The press was on it within hours. Local headlines questioned her past. Her payout. Her silence. Ethan watched the ripple spread like gasoline catching fire. Maya dropped another report on the table. Deo moved $2 million to an account in Belize. His cleaner disappeared yesterday. And Madison? She's now on 4 internal government watch lists. Marcus leaned back. This is the part where they usually run. Ethan stood, his voice low. Let them, but not too far. Across town, Madison held a press statement in her hands. She looked pale, tired. Makeup couldn't fix the cracks anymore. She tried to rehearse the lines. I've been a victim of a coordinated smear campaign. Her voice trembled. The words didn't feel real anymore. Not when everyone was starting to see the truth. And just outside her gated community, parked in a nondescript black sedan, Ethan watched the lights in her house flicker. She's about to go live, Marcus said, checking his screen. Ethan didn't blink. Let her. Madison stepped into her lawyer's office like a woman still pretending she had power. The room was too quiet. Her lawyer, a clean-cut man with a $600 haircut and a silver tie, barely looked at her when she Saturday. I need to issue a cease and desist, she said quickly. There's a coordinated effort online. Leaks. False recordings. He opened a folder. It's not false. The emails match. Voice analysis confirms it's you. In the payouts, she leaned in. You're my attorney. Do your job. I can't, he said flatly. You didn't disclose half of your financial entanglements when we filed the trust paperwork. You named aliases. Offshore entities. That's fraud, Madison. She froze. We can fix it. No. You fix it. He slid a folder across the table. You're being investigated. You don't pay me enough to sync with you. She stared at the door after he left. He didn't even say goodbye. That night, Ethan stood under the porch light of an old farmhouse 2 counties away. Inside, a retired colonel greeted him with a handshake and a hard stare. You're Cole. I am. You got proof? Ethan opened a folder. Inside, copies of military-grade equipment orders with Madison's digital signature. Off books. Disguised as humanitarian aid. The colonel flipped the pages. His face darkened. This went through my base. Through my people. Ethan nodded. I want to make it right. Publicly. The colonel didn't smile. You give me 10 days. I'll give you enough to drown them. Ethan left without a word. Another ally. Another nail. The chain Madison built was breaking link by link. The press conference was scheduled for noon. Madison stood behind the curtain, script in hand, palms sweating. The stage was modest, an office space repurposed for damage control. Only local media showed up, but their questions would still burn. She stepped up to the mic. I've been the victim of a malicious smear campaign. The screen behind her flickered. Static. Then footage. Real footage. Not leaked, not online, not watermarked. Her voice. No, I won't go down alone, the crowd murmured. Madison looked to her aide, shaking her head. Cut it. Cut it now. But it played on. Dio's voice next. She was useful. It wasn't supposed to be public. Not like this. The live stream caught her face falling apart in real time. Makeup cracking. Words gone. Eyes darting. Cameras flashing. And then someone in the crowd stood up. It was Lily. She didn't speak. She just stared at her mother, eyes wide with disgust. The cameras turned to her. Madison froze. Lily, go home. No answer. The silence was heavier than any accusation. By the time Madison left the stage, her phone was blowing up. Headlines. Screenshots. Hashtags. And one new text, the truth's louder than your lies now. The footage was dated 6 months after Ethan's death. A hotel room. Madison pacing. Her lover lounging shirtless on the couch. I told you, the payout clears next week. What if it doesn't? It will. I signed everything. He's gone. No body, no mess. You still think about him? A long pause. No. I think about what he left me. A new life. The video played silently in a defense committee's private chamber. Across from the screen, Ethan sat in a suit, clean, sharp, present. Alive. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. One of the senators leaned forward. This footage, who recovered it? Anonymous source, Ethan answered. But the same source sent 3 more tapes. 2 involve Ardent Vector. 1 involves Dio. And you. I just want the people who used my name for war profits to answer for it. Another voice. And your wife. She's just the face. He's the network. Ethan stood. My file said killed in action. But the truth is, I was buried on paper to keep a contract clean. The room went silent. No objections. Just shifting eyes. Tape number 37 wasn't just personal now. It was criminal. And Ethan had just made it federal. Dio fled the city. His office? Cleared out. His cleaner? Found dead in a motel 3 hours outside. DC police ruled it overdose. But Ethan knew it wasn't that simple. Maya tapped her screen. Dio's passport was scanned at a private airport. Headed south. Ethan stepped outside, wind hitting his face hard. Let him run. We'll find him. But his eyes weren't on the tracker now. They were on Madison's house. Inside, she was alone, surrounded by reporters. Dead. No allies. Lily had moved in with relatives. Public sympathy flooded in for her. Madison? Nothing but silence. Ethan lit a match, watching the flame dance. He won't save her, he said. Marcus stepped beside him. So what now? Ethan watched the porch lights flicker. Now we finish it. Madison sat in front of the mirror, staring at a face she no longer recognized. The news was on behind her. She didn't need to watch. She'd seen the headline a dozen times now. Contract widow or criminal mastermind. New leaks point to defense fraud at highest levels. Her lawyer had stopped answering calls. Her lover was gone. The house. Weeks from foreclosure. The funds. Frozen. She pulled off her earrings one by one. Slow. Robotic. Then the doorbell rang. She jumped. Moved to the window. A delivery man stood on the porch. She opened the door, hands trembling. He handed her a thick envelope. No return label. Inside, photographs. Every one of them from the last 2 years. Her. Duo. The hotel. The fake meetings. The money transfers. And on the back of the final photo, written in ink, confession buys silence. Denial earns fire. Choose. She dropped the envelope and sank to the floor. Upstairs, Lily's room was empty. She hadn't returned. Madison was truly alone now. Physically, financially, emotionally. No mask left to wear. And across town, Ethan watched the footage from a parked car. Security Kim pointed right at her door. He saw the slump in her shoulders. The moment she broke. She got the package, Maya said, watching the feed too. Ethan leaned back. She's done pretending. He stepped out of the car, wind sharp against his face. No more whispers, he said. It's time the world sees what she buried. The email went live at 7:43 a.m. Subject line. Official statement of misuse of defense contracts from Ethan Cole, U.S. Navy. Read. The inboxes of every major journalist, veteran organization, and watchdog group lit up within minutes. Inside the file, proof, names, bank transfers, government authorizations with altered IDs, and one signature that kept appearing, Madison Cole. Within hours, news broke. Presumed dead Navy veteran exposes national defense corruption. Wife named as central accomplice. By noon, federal agents showed up at Madison's doorstep. She tried to close the door. They didn't let her. Inside, they handed her the paperwork. One line stood out in bold. All assets temporarily seized under federal investigation of conspiracy and fraud. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. She didn't cry. Not yet. She just sat on the stairs while agents combed the house, her house. The one she bought with Ethan's death. Gone. The cars. Gone. The accounts. Gone. Even her phone confiscated. Across town, Marcus watched the footage on a loop. Never thought I'd enjoy watching someone lose everything this much. Ethan didn't speak. He was already reading the next file, Dio's offshore property list. The net was closing. Maya's voice came through the speaker. Madison has 2 hours before the media's outside her door. You want a statement drafted? No, Ethan said. She'll speak. And if she doesn't? She will. He looked at the photo of her sitting on the stairs. She has nothing left to protect. Now she starts talking. The press circled her house like wolves, vans, tripods, microphones, all waiting. Madison stood behind the glass door, shoulders squared, hair pulled back. A former PR rep had begged her not to speak. Let your lawyer handle it, they said. She didn't have a lawyer anymore. She stepped outside, blinking against the flashes. The air felt colder than it was. I have a statement, she said. Every camera locked on her. I was misled, she began. Manipulated into signing documents I didn't understand. I was grieving. I was vulnerable. I trusted the wrong people. But her voice cracked halfway through. Reporters pounced. Did you sign off on the weapons contracts? Were you aware your husband was alive when you claimed the benefits? Did you profit from his death? And then, is Ethan Cole really alive? The crowd froze. Madison's breath caught. I can't speak to that, she said. I have no comment. But her eyes told a different story. That night, Ethan uploaded the final clip, a video of himself, standing beside the American flag folded on the day of his death. His voice calm. I didn't die. I was erased. But I'm back now. And the people who buried me in ink are going to answer. The video hit 1.2 million views in 6 hours. The country knew his name. And by morning, it would know every detail. Duo stepped off the plane in Belize wearing sunglasses and a tight expression. No entourage. No press. Just silence and heat. The private airstrip looked abandoned. He preferred it that way. His phone buzzed. A new email. No subject. No sender. He opened it. We see you. You ran too slow. Attached, a short video clip, his voice, crystal clear, admitting Madison's usefulness. Admitting the scam. The camera angle told him everything he needed to know. The leak had come from inside his own circle. He deleted the video, powered off the phone, crushed the SIM under his boot. Inside the safe house, he sat at a desk covered in burner phones and cash. He checked the files. 1 fake passport. 2 exit plans. But none of it mattered now. Back in the States, Maya pulled up a digital trace. He moved the last 2 million into a crypto wallet. Anonymous. But too late. The Fed signal already flagged it. Marcus smirked. Dio just lit his own trail on fire. Ethan studied the data. He thinks he's off the grid. Good. That makes what comes next cleaner. Maya leaned forward. You ready to make it public? Ethan didn't blink. I'm not the one who'll destroy him. She frowned. Then who? He slid a folder across the table. Inside, files, photos, contracts, names. The kind only one group would care about. Whistleblowers. Investigators. Government watchdogs. And they'd just been handed a loaded gun with Dio's fingerprints on the trigger. The auditorium wasn't full, but it didn't need to be. Cameras lined the back wall. The stage had no banners, no lights, just a podium, a flag, and a nameplate that read, Ethan Cole, U.S. Navy retired. He stepped up in full uniform. It was the first time he'd worn it since the ceremony they'd held without his body. His voice didn't shake. They said I died on duty, that I was lost in action, gone without a trace. My daughter folded a flag in my name. My wife buried me in words she rehearsed. The audience sat in still silence. But I wasn't dead. I was removed. Because I stood in the way of something bigger. Something profitable. He pulled a document from the folder beside him. Here's the contract that approved the weapons. Here's the falsified death report. Here's the signature of the man who vanished when I returned. He raised his eyes. And here's the truth. Screens behind him lit up. Photographs, videos, proof. Madison. Dio. The payouts. The lies. Ethan paused. The weight in his chest didn't come from anger. It came from knowing. I didn't come back for revenge. I came back because the truth deserves to be louder than the people who buried it. And in the front row, Lily watched her father, not as a ghost, but as a warrior standing in the light. The applause didn't start right away. But when it didn't stop. Madison was gone. Not missing, just gone. No calls. No social media. No appearances. She'd been pulled from every press cycle, legal board, and social list within days of Ethan's speech. Her bank accounts? Frozen. Her real estate? Seized. But one account hadn't been touched. Ethan found it buried in a tangled web of digital dead ends. An education trust for Lily. One Madison had set up a year before Ethan's supposed death. Maya stared at it. This doesn't match her pattern. No, Ethan said. It doesn't. The trust was real. Funded quietly. No shady backers. No stolen money. Why would she do this? Marcus asked. Ethan didn't answer right away. Maybe guilt. Maybe fear. Maybe one last scrap of humanity left untouched by greed. He didn't speak about it again. Instead, he made one call to the bank manager listed on the file. 2 days later, Lily received the official transfer. The money was hers now. Legally. Fully. She called Ethan, voice tight. "You did this." "No," he said softly. "Your mother did one thing right." Lily didn't answer. But she didn't hang up either. And for Ethan, that was enough. I hope you've all subscribed by now. Your support means the world. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know that from where you are listening to my stories. I'm excited to hear your feedback and engage with you all. Keep the positivity coming. The house was empty, but the panic was real. Madison moved like a ghost, locking doors, closing blinds, whispering to herself. Her world had shrunk to the size of a living room. Every sound outside made her flinch. Every shadow on the window pulled her breath short. Her laptop was fried. Her phone had gone dark. The last call she made to a former fixer went straight to a disconnected tone. She was out of reach and out of time. Then the knock came. 3 short taps. She didn't move. Another 3. Faster. Sharper. She pulled the drawer beside the couch. Inside, an emergency phone. 1 line. 1 contact. She dialed. No answer. Instead, the phone vibrated with a new text. "This is where you realize no one's coming. You're not the victim, Madison. You're the architect." No name. But she knew. She stumbled into the hallway and pressed the panel inside the closet, revealing the hidden panic room Ethan had installed years ago, back when he still believed in protecting her. She stepped inside, locked the door behind her. The silence was worse than the knocking, and this time, no one would come to let her out. The sun had just started to rise when Ethan pulled into the driveway. The house looked smaller than he remembered, less like home, more like a crime scene. Marcus waited by the car. "You sure about this?" Ethan nodded once. "She doesn't get to disappear." He stepped through the door slowly. No gun, no rage, just presence. Madison was sitting on the stairs, hair tangled, eyes hollow. She looked like someone who hadn't slept in days, maybe weeks. "You win," she said, voice cracked and low. Ethan didn't respond. "I tried to survive," she continued. "Tried to make sense of what was left. You were gone. I was alive. I didn't know that. You didn't want to." The silence stretched. He handed her a file. Inside, federal notices, confirmed charges, subpoenas. Her name at the top of every page. "They'll be here by noon," he said. "If you have anything left to say it now." She looked up at him, eyes flickering between anger and some emotion that almost resembled regret. "I loved you once." Ethan looked her straight in the face. That was the lie that hurt most. He turned to leave. Her voice followed him, barely a whisper. "What happens to me now?" Ethan paused at the door. "You live with it." Then he was gone. And this time, she was the one left behind. The auditorium was packed. Students, teachers, parents. A community event, small but meaningful. The theme, integrity. Each student was invited to speak. Lily stood at the podium, holding nothing in her hands. She didn't need notes. "When I was younger, I believed people were who they said they were. That adults told the truth. That families didn't lie." She looked out into the crowd. "But sometimes, the people we trust most are the ones who bury us deepest." A few teachers shifted in their seats. But Lily's voice didn't waver. "My father was declared dead. My mother collected the folded flag. And while the world moved on, someone watched quietly from the shadows, putting the pieces together." A pause. "My dad didn't come back for revenge. He came back because truth still matters. Because character is what you do when no one's watching." Her eyes found Ethan, standing at the back of the room. "And because sometimes, the people who break you don't get to win." The room erupted into quiet applause. Lily stepped down. And for the first time in years, Ethan saw her not as someone recovering from the past, but someone ready to shape her future. The room was minimalist. 1 camera, 1 microphone, 1 chair. No dramatic lighting, no background music. Just silence and truth. Ethan sat opposite a local journalist, one known for integrity, not spectacle. That's why he chose her. The red light clicked on. "You were declared dead for nearly 2 years," she said, voice soft but firm. "Now you're sitting here. Alive. After everything. Why speak now? Ethan didn't fidget. I never wanted the spotlight. I just wanted to live a quiet life with my family. But when the people I trusted most used my name to profit, I couldn't stay quiet. You mean your wife? He didn't flinch. She was part of something bigger. The government payouts, the false reports, the weapons deals, it wasn't just her. But she didn't stop it. She helped it. The interviewer leaned in. What do you want from this? Justice? Closure. Ethan exhaled slowly. Thought carefully. I want the system to learn. I want people to question what they're told. I want the next man in uniform to come home and not find his face replaced in a family photo. The silence that followed carried more weight than any dramatic cut. And Madison Cole, the reporter asked. Ethan looked at the camera. I don't need to ruin her. The truth already did that. The light went off. The video was uploaded that night. By morning, it had reached 5 million views. The house had changed. The porch was rebuilt. The shutters freshly painted. Inside, the walls were bare, no framed betrayals, no ghosts of a life that wasn't real. Ethan walked slowly through the hall. Each footstep felt heavier than it should. Not with pain, but with memory. Marcus stood in the kitchen, arms crossed. You sure about this? Ethan nodded. It's not for me. It's for them. He handed over a file. Legal paperwork transferring ownership of the house to a nonprofit housing program for military widows and children. They'll live here. People who actually earn something better. Marcus scanned the papers. You really letting go? Ethan looked around once more. I already did. Outside, Lily waited in the car. She didn't ask questions. She just watched her father walk out of that house, for the last time, with nothing in his hands and peace on his face. They drove in silence for a while. Then she asked quietly, Do you think she ever loved you? Even before all of it. Ethan took a breath. I think she loved what I gave her, but not what I was. Lily nodded slowly. No more words. The rearview mirror showed the house shrinking behind them, second by second, until it was gone. The new office was small, just 3 desks, 2 laptops, and a whiteboard covered in red circles and lines. But it was clean. And it was real. Marcus stood at the center of it, briefing 2 new hires, former vets turned civilian investigators. We don't chase headlines, he said. We chase accountability. If you want to make noise, this ain't the job. If you want to make change, get to work. On the board, the title was simple, Cole Initiative, National Oversight for Military Corruption. Maya stepped into the room, handing him a flash drive. Anonymous tip. Same pattern we saw with Ardent Vector. Marcus pocketed it. It never ends, does it? She gave him a hard look. Good. That means we're still needed. He nodded once. Back at his desk, a framed photo sat beside his laptop. Ethan, Lily, and Marcus, together, post-interview. No war, no ghosts. Just survivors. Just a new beginning. The box was old, edges worn, corners taped. Inside were letters. Dozens of them. Each envelope labeled in careful handwriting. To Dad. Lily had written them during those lost years. While the world thought Ethan was dead, she had kept speaking to him. Some were angry. Some were hopeful. One simply said, Please come back. I don't care how. Ethan sat alone in his apartment, the morning sun filtering through half-closed blinds, holding one of the letters like it was made of glass. He read every word. Some made him laugh. Others broke something inside him that had already cracked. But none of them made him regret coming back. Each letter was proof. He was never really gone. When Lily arrived later that day, she saw the open box. You found them, she said. I did. And, I'm sorry I missed so much, Ethan said softly. But I'm here now. She sat beside him. You came back when it mattered most. They didn't need more than that. Sometimes healing doesn't come loud. It comes in quiet rooms, with open boxes and open hearts. The cliffs overlooked the ocean, wind strong, waves crashing, gulls crying in the distance. Ethan stood alone at the edge, hands in his jacket pockets, watching the water move like time itself. He wasn't haunted anymore. Not by betrayal. Not by lies. Not even by Madison. She'd taken a plea deal. 10 years, no chance of parole. Dio was extradited. The network was burned from the inside out. There was nothing left to chase. He sat on a bench carved into the rock, the same place he and Lily visited when she was 5. She used to collect shells here. Now, she was building college applications, writing essays about resilience, truth, and the meaning of strength. Marcus was running coal initiative full-time now. Maya had taken a contract with the Inspector General's office. Ethan? He was just breathing again. No weapons, no missions, no plans, just stillness and peace. A plaque stood outside the new Veterans Advocacy Building. Clean stone, black steel frame, etched with purpose, the Ethan Cole Center, built on truth, dedicated to the ones who came back and the ones who didn't. Inside, a group of young recruits were gathered, learning not about combat, but about what happens after, how to protect each other, how to speak up, how to stay whole. Lily gave the opening remarks. My father's story wasn't just his. It was a warning and a reminder. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who come back from the dead, not to take revenge, but to protect the future. Ethan watched from the back. Didn't need a spotlight. He'd said what needed to be said. Now his story belonged to others. As the applause faded and the crowd began to leave, Ethan stepped outside and looked up at the sign one more time. And for the first time in years, he smiled. Really smiled. So now the question is, would you have survived what Ethan did? Would you have stayed silent? Or would you have come back for the truth? Let us know in the comments. Where in the world are you watching from? If this story gripped you, surprised you, or hit you deep, go ahead and like, subscribe, and stick with us. We've got another thrilling, emotional ride coming your way soon. Until then, take care of yourself. Take care of your truth. And we'll see you in the next story. The end.